Yeah, so just go ahead and introduce yourselves and talk about your guys' dog life journey.
My name is David Bizot, and
I'm Jennifer Bizot. We're the Bizot family.
We met in the military, in the Air Force, and fell in love and got married. And our dog journey really together starts with horses. I came from a farm family in California, and when I got stationed here in Oklahoma, where she was already from, we rode horses together, ended up breeding horses, draft crosses, and riding, and winning and having all kinds of fun. But just the military caught up to us, the injuries caught up to us, and that affected our ability to keep doing the horse thing. And we decided for our longevity, we had to step away. We'd always had dogs. They're just, for me, they've been something, you just have to have. You can't have a house without a dog. It's man's best friend, and it's not the same environment without something like that there. That's just how I think about it, and that's how, she's come to love them the same way. So that's what led us here.
Yeah, we have over 30 years in the equestrian industry, and you can't have a horse without a dog, and that's how I grew up too. Was we always had a dog with our horses.
Right. And how did you fall upon the Valley Bulldog?
We were really into boxers. Danes, stuff like that. My family, we bred Danes, but we had a huge place. We had a lot, just enough space for Danes. And after having horses, we had a Dane, but when he passed away, we were down to Danes. We got an English Bulldog, Maggie, who we still have. And through a friend of ours, by accident, my wife, Jen, went to pick up something from my friend and came back with this 6-month-old boxer puppy. And while she knew lots about horses, she didn't know much about dogs. So she put the 6-month-old boxer puppy out back with the Bulldog and came to tell me how wonderful it was. Mm-hmm. And I went, well, how old is he? And she said 6 months, but that's not old enough. And by the time I was out back,
it was old enough.
He had proved it was old enough. At first our natural reaction was, well, we don't want to, but I looked and saw what it was and thought about it, and came to the decision that it was probably one of the few dogs that I would like more than an English, because to us an English is just too many health problems, not enough athleticism, not enough ability to handle the heat and stuff like that. So for us, it was something we tried. We took it very personal. We know where all of our puppies are. To us, it's an important thing to give someone a dog that's going to be a big part of their lives, and so that they, just to make sure that we're there to help them and make sure that puppy, is living a good life. So.
Right.
And then down the road, we've, progressed it is the difference, I guess, is what's put us ahead. Not to say that there's not there's a couple other really good Valley breeders that we really trust and respect, and we couldn't do it without them. We do trading, we do, help each other however we can. So, but we do generational Valley Bulldogs, meaning we created our own bloodline with that female that we mentioned. We got another male and created our first second generation puppies. Essentially, when you breed it initially, it's an F1. Then you have to have two F1s to make an F2, two F2s to make an F3. We made the first F3s that anybody knows about ever with Valley Bulldogs just this year. So, wow. And we can't go further because there's no other lines of F3s.
Right. And so,
but we're working on it. And I mean, that's the thing is we just went and got a boy Sunday to help us start a new bloodline. So.
Yeah, I saw that in an English Bulldog, huh?
Yeah, he's yes, in English, because there's no other Valley bloodlines that aren't mine that are registered. all of our dogs are registered.
Mm-hmm.
It's with the International Old English Bulldog Association and with the United Canine Association, and both those require at least 3 generations of pure AKC parents.
Right.
So it's more like an extension thing. And I know the other dogs are just as healthy. To us, it just means something to have all those, have it have the pedigree. We're taking what was already really good and making something better, and healthier. So,
mm-hmm. Could you explain kind of what the Valley Bulldog is and where it originated from, and kind of the
Sure. It's called a Valley Bulldog because, believe it or not, it originated in the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia in Canada, mm-hmm. which, by funny coincidence, when we looked it up, that's where my family came to North America generations ago. That's how I get the Bizot name, is the French name, as they came down through Canada first and ended up here. Yeah. But believe it or not, they're like a livestock protection dog. They weren't nearly what they are here in America as far as the bulliness. Like most things, Americans have to make it bigger and heavier. But the original ones are they're not as athletic as you'd think, but they're still something that can run and chase and keep up with animals. Mm-hmm. But they're still sweet and kind and playful, and they can get along with everything. There's not. The thing about having English Bulldog as boxers, there's no real, I have to, die protecting my family kind of vibe.
Right.
They're very protective, but they're not going to act out of impulse like a guard dog or something like that would, which is something we like just with the way that people are about dogs,
right.
nowadays.
Definitely.
Once Valleys, once they came here, changed quite a bit because, it's just people wanted to make it into more, hey, you guys did cool. This is a cool cross, but we can make something even cooler. We can selectively breed. We can make sure we choose better parents when we start. And just by that selective, like, hey, this is what we're going for, which is they're supposed to be, per the registries right now, it's supposed to be a stocky dog. Mm-hmm. They're only supposed to be about 14 inches max at the shoulder, but they're supposed to be real square. They're supposed to have big shoulders, but their legs go straight down. And they can still be as big and thick. I mean, I have some boys that have bigger legs than any English you can find. They just have to be square. They can have either back length. There's shorter ones and there's a little bit longer ones. And then you want the back ends. At least we really prefer the back end to be as big as the front ends. It's a big, strong, square dog, and that's what the breeds go for. Mm-hmm. We actually took our boys a couple years ago as a birthday present. Jen and Nancy took our boys on to a show, and we ended up winning a championship.
Wow! Now
with the registries, there's never been another Valley champion. Mm-hmm. So right now he's the first, and our other male is a blue ribbon winner and is about to win. There's just not many shows.
Right.
I mean, we're really trying to get out there and just show what this breed can be, because to me, it's something special, and if we can, keep it going, I think it'll be a very popular breed in the future. Just because of the combination of things gives you something you like.
Right.
And you can't beat a low maintenance bulldog.
Right.
I mean, I have dogs that are as big as other people's. Now, when I'm going to say percentages, and when I'm saying these percentages, it refers to how much bulldog versus how much boxer.
Uh-huh.
So, like, when you originally cross your boxer and your English, you get a 50-50. Mm-hmm. Now, that's what the Nova Scotia breeders would breed back. They would make those, and then they would breed those to each other. Well, you end up with two problems. Is first off, most of the time that's not nearly as heavy as people want. It doesn't keep the bulldog appearance. It looks like a boxer with more character. And you see lots of Valleys like that, and they're still great. Some people want that super high level of athleticism too, but to us that's not really a Valley Bulldog. I mean, you can get that out of a big boxer too. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So where's that going? I forgot. I got so the 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. So what we don't necessarily do it this way, but I'll explain it to you. When you see a puppy that's a 3/4, what they do is they take usually a 50-50 female and they backbreed it to an English Bulldog. And when they say backbreeding, it's to make it heavier. You're putting in more Bulldog, essentially, is what you think about. You're breeding back, and that gives you a 3/4. And we have a 3/4 as a stud dog, and they're very nice dogs. There's a lot of the good breeders do 3/4. We're pretty much the only ones. Some are now working on generational, but most of the really good breeders are backbreeding. Mm-hmm. And getting 3/4 or even heavier. We have one from another breeder that is almost 90%. But the problem with that is you're really not getting the health benefits.
Right.
And I'm using her simply to cross because it's a very good bloodline, and I can dilute a lot of that out. But it's it's a fine line. We try to keep them about 2/3, mm-hmm. And that. Yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. Somewhere in the middle is what we think is just about right. Because, the breathing problem is what I'm referring to most when I'm talking about the heavier ones is the snorting and the snoring.
Yeah.
Especially ours from our bloodline. I mean, I have dogs that are just as big and heavy as ones of way higher percentage, but with no breathing problems, Right. And that to us is important because once you've had a quiet Bulldog, you don't want to go back.
You don't want to go back to the snorting Bulldogs.
Even this English we got him from a guy that breeds athletic English. Is kind of like what we do, So the no breathing problems and all. That's the only reason I actually decided that I could even use an English.
Go back to an English. He's perfect.
So. Yeah. Bulldogs are crazy to play with.
Yeah.
People that think they want an English Bulldog need to seriously get down and play with them because ours is amazing. Now we selected really well when we got her because I was a picky horse guy, and I looked at 10 litters of puppies. She delivered, and this is the big thing about Valley's that I feel is important too. She delivered she's only had 2 litters. She delivered all those puppies on her own. No C-section, no nothing.
Wow.
She delivered those puppies, and that's as a full English. We did it backwards, if you think about it. Most people would prefer to breed a male English to a female boxer because she'll just pop those pups out, no problem.
Right.
But I think that's where we get a lot of our inherent bulkiness, too, though, is that we did it that way.
Right.
And we've kept that in our girls, whereas a lot of people have a hard time making bigger girls. They're very dimorphic. But our English, I crouch down like a catcher and put my hands on the ground, and she just wants to bite my hands. That's the only game we play. She doesn't know how to play with any of the other dogs
or toys.
She's a social, she just sits out there and we love her, and she did all that. But going back to the breeding thing is all of ours, the males have to be healthy enough and physically capable enough to live cover. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't do it when they're too young. There's a lot that goes into it thought-wise. I'm not just throwing it together. But to me, if I'm giving you something better, that is something that's importantly better between an English and a Frenchie and all these dogs where you have to cut a mama open.
Right.
And C-section her to get puppies out because their heads are so big.
Yeah.
That's just not something to us. And the male thing is, we could AI like everybody else, but I like having males that I know. I like having males that I get to see every day, so I know what I'm giving someone. If I get something from somebody else, I'm just hearing all the great things that they want to say about it. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to keep on top of making things neater and better, but to us, it's more important to know what we're giving someone.
Right.
And all of that is very important to me.
And it just goes back to ensuring healthy puppies. If we have healthy parents that can reproduce unassisted, then that just goes on to ensuring that we get healthier puppies.
Right.
We find that with the right information about what you should feed your dog, mm-hmm. How to spot when they're having allergies, like any bulldog, if they get stung by a bee, even if it's just like a mud dart or something, some of those things can trigger them. But all you need is some Benadryl. I mean, you give them some Benadryl, pop 3 or 4 Benadryl in them, and it's back. I mean, it really is. Now, that's also a young dog thing. It's so it seems. The older dogs, they might get stung and their face kind of swells up a little bit. That's fine. We don't have any skin problems. We use real mild soap when you wash a bulldog. You don't want to overwash a bulldog.
Right.
You know, that's another thing is they do have sensitive skin, but the mix makes it far better.
Right.
Health-wise, just across the board. It's not like if it had just been a really small amount, it would have deterred us from breeding anymore, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, with the ones, we have very few that even snore. Let's put it that way. I mean, and that's what our customers are looking for. Right. So it's definitely, the skin's better, the coat's better. You know, it's all better, and then good information. You know, don't feed your dog crap, and that doesn't mean go feed him the most expensive thing either. It means, you know, don't give him any corn, don't give him any byproducts, don't give him any artificial stuff. Those are the things that are important to a dog. They're just, you know, they're to a bulldog to me just because they're sensitive. I think it's simply because a lot of the bigger dogs, their food was based off more of a meat diet than like household scrap diet. You know, the molossers that lead to all these big brachycephalic dogs and even English bulldogs, you know, were like Roman war dogs, or so to speak. You know, it was a prized possession. It was something that you fed, you took care of so that he was ready to help you, you know. And that's why I think the corn and a lot of that stuff throws them off. I mean, corn just triggers us. It's like there's a mustard gas attack, you know. Right. It's instantaneous. But if you go with something with lamb and rice, lamb because of glucosamine, it helps their joints, and then, you know, the lamb's also real good for their skin and coat. So to me, it's kind of a no-win on a bulldog. And just watch them, you know, if they're starting to have issues, it could just be that it's a bad batch of food, or there's something in there. You know, don't continue to feed your dog if he's having a reaction. Just get him something different, completely different, mm-hmm. and see if that fixes it, you know. And every once in a while it happens with us, but like I said, it's more of a trigger, like, to me, that there's something bad in the food more than, you know, the food itself. The type of food, let's say, is what they don't like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we stay away from the people food too, you know, with valleys, just because we just talked about food. I'll just hit on this because this is important too, is overweight. Being overweight is a huge problem with valleys, because boxers metabolize fat real well to begin with. You know, like you don't really see a fat boxer because a lot of them, it just goes straight to their liver. Right. That's just how their metabolism works. And so you're just giving your dog fatty liver disease. And that's why, even though they're healthy and they look great, they die so early, you know. You have to love your dog enough to be like, hey, you know what, you're putting some weight on. Let's cut back. Or I say this to a lot of customers, and it takes them to understand, it's just fasting, you know. If your dog is overweight, give him a day off. Right. They're still animals. It will trigger his metabolism to burn that stuff off. It doesn't take much. But if you just continue to keep feeding him, if they get fat, their skin stretches out and all the wrinkles go away. And even if they lose that weight, they just have this big hard husk, you know, because it's all stretched out and it's gotten used to it. And then you're just giving them problems, you know. A big thing about valleys, especially ours, I like, is they're not, you know, they're not the heaviest growers. Sometimes they look a little thin, and you're like, hey, man, I can see the boxer in you. But then they're right back to putting on muscle, you know. They grow up, then they grow out, then they grow up, then they grow out. It's almost like a horse, you know. Whereas, like, with a bulldog, they pretty much look like a little roly-poly the whole time. Right. You know? But with ours, when you're done, I mean, our males, especially our champion, if you saw him, I mean, even next to an American bully, we go to one of the bully places around here, and, you know, they hold their own.
Right. What kind of food do you feed your dogs? Do you do a raw, or do you do kibble? Or
we just do a kibble, mm-hmm. And believe it or not, I feed unless it's a puppy or a young dog, and I'm talking like 9 months, sometimes a year, but they only get fed once a day in the evening. Mm-hmm. And so they rebuild all that energy, you know, they go to sleep, and we have no issues with weight that way too. And I think that's a big thing. It's one thing to want to love your dog, you know, but what does he need? Mm-hmm. In the wild or whatever? He might get one meal a day if he's lucky, you know. It's not, you know, for them it's all gorging, you know, binging and fasting. But we use a local Oklahoma made feed simply because we like supporting our, you know, our local products, and it's a good way for us to get, like I said, a healthy, preservative-free dog food. Mm-hmm. One that people don't look at sometimes, and it's hard to find, is like without the byproducts, is like a hunting dog food, or a high activity dog food.
Uh-huh.
Just because the protein is good for the muscle development and whatnot, and they're not necessarily always the highest in fat, but it really depends. I say don't look at what they call it. Look at what's inside it. Flip it over on the back. Like I said, that's why I just said, here's your ingredients. Stay away from the corn. Stay away from byproducts. Stay away from anything that you can't pronounce. If you can help it. Obviously, it's going to have some preservatives and stuff in it, but I mean, and for us, it's a numbers thing.
Yeah.
If you have a single dog, a wet food, a frozen food, all that, it's whatever fits your desire level to care for your dog. To us, it's more important to do other things than to fix them fancy food.
Yep.
But for some people that is, and if that's important to them, then that's important to us. And that's why just look at what you're feeding your dog like you would yourself. If you feed them McDonald's all the time, they're going to get fat, they're going to be grumpy, and they're not,
and they're going to smell horrible.
Yeah. If you give them something, and it'll keep them healthy.
Absolutely.
You got to read the back of your ingredient list too. The first product is what the food is mainly based out of.
Yeah.
So it should always be meat.
Right.
Pan, chicken, beef, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
It should never be cornmeal, or chicken byproduct.
Right.
Well, the breed standards are actually the same. The International Old English Bulldog Association, which obviously is the one that was started for Old English Bulldogs, which is another hybrid. If people don't know, some people think it's a regular breed. It originated with English Bulldog, Bull Mastiff, and Pit Bull Terrier.
Yep.
So, but they have the same strict requirements. Like I said, you pretty much have to have AKC dogs at least 3 generations. All of ours met that, so for us it was a natural fit. They both share, them and United Canine are like brother-sister registries. United Canine's like the greater one. It takes all the other breeds that ours doesn't cover.
Right.
Which covers a lot of the other ones too. The Bantam Bulldogs, the, Blue Rivers, and all I can't even name them all. There's a crazy amount.
Right.
But they both pretty much say that it should be 14 inches at the shoulder, and that's honestly the hardest one to get. Even our champion is a little over that because it just becomes too. I mean, he's only about an inch over, but it becomes so compact.
Right.
So height necessarily isn't the most important one to us, but they should be square. They can be big chested, barrel chested, whatever, as long as their legs are straight. I mean, they can be the biggest, thickest legs on the planet. They also allow dew claws. That's something that we cut off no matter what, because to us it's just too much of a hindrance on somebody that's a pet that just wants a pet, and getting their toenails ripped off is no fun either. When they're 2 days old, I take those when I do their tails if they need their tails done. But yeah, they should be big and square and even. They should be flat backed. You should be able to draw a line from their hips to their shoulders. Head size is the same. You want big heads. One thing we do, I think you've seen and most people recognize too, is we keep longer noses.
Right.
But it's not required. There are plenty of valley breeders that have smushed in faces just like in English, which to me entirely defeats the purpose. Part of what a boxer offers is a good look with better breeding passages. I mean, I have a girl, an F2 girl we're about to breed that I've kept. She has about the longest nose that we have, but she's just so big you can't even hardly tell. And she can run and play. And this is a, huge, probably my heaviest girl I've ever made. And she can just run and play, and they tear around. And yeah, but the breed standard is essentially a big square bulldog. And the healthier that they fall to a lot of the bulldog stuff, like I said, but.
What is the average size for weight for a male and a female?
They can vary a lot based off breeding, just simply because some breeders like us start with little bulldogs, and even this guy we got, he's not a huge bulldog because I think too much is a hindrance.
Yeah,
I don't want, and I mean, and that being said, I mean, we have a 70. I'll explain it. We have a 75-pound, huge American white female boxer that we got to breed. Mm-hmm. She ended up being sterile. I mean, this is just about as big a boxer as you can see. Mm-hmm. She is at least 4 inches taller than Jake, and longer. But he still outweighs her, by about 10 pounds easy, just because they're still really compact. I mean, they're truly a bulldog.
You're right.
For their dimensions, I can't hardly pick up Jake, and I'm a 285-pound, big, 6'5" guy. Mm-hmm. They get. We have this little term we call them as when, especially when they have the right combination of thickness and everything, is we call them a moose. It doesn't really directly relate, but that's how we,
Yeah.
Height is actually 15 to 18. Sorry, 14 is female's a little smaller, but so yeah, we're within 2. I was just looking up just to check.
Right.
And there essentially there's no weight. You can't lose points for weight.
Uh-huh.
You can't lose points for ears. Like ears, you can either get the sideways little sticking out ears, or from the boxers, you can get these nice big ears that lay down and cover their ear holes. Now that's what we prefer. You get both though. It's kind of like tails, They can have a naturally curly tail. They can have a trimmed tail. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fault your points. Right. And for us, we keep it both in the bloodlines, but it's not any, what's important is that getting that, to us at least, with the direction of American Valley Bulldogs, let's say, is there's definitely more of a bully push. Right. And the registry, but that's also what the registry says. I mean, it's mostly, I think it's just new. It's new. There's not a lot of people. I mean, we were the first ones to really start showing them. I think more people will once they realize that they can, and that there, if there actually are shows. It's hard to find, these smaller registries putting on as many shows, especially as the big ones. But
right. Are they still kind of popular in the east coast of Canada?
They are, honestly. Every time we have puppies, we get pretty much berated for not being able to bring puppies to Canada, but we're working on that because, like I said, they know what's up there, and there is a really good breeder in Nova Scotia, and I will mention her name because she's really good. Her name is Teresa Miner, mm-hmm. And the only reason we don't have any interaction with her is because she gets her males from the same place I got one of my males, so essentially we can't cross lines, so to speak. Right. But they up there's still a lot of the really light ones though too. The popular, because people don't know better. That's the same thing about Valley Bulldogs. They'll see one in the paper and goes, "Oh my God, that's so cool," and they won't think to look it up. This guy probably has the first ones. That's so cool. And then we get a ton of second Valley. It's like, I have a Valley that I bought locally, and now I want one of your Valleys. Right. And that's to us is the difference. Is are you just breeding Valleys to make Valleys, or are you breeding Valleys to make Valleys into something? Mm-hmm. And we're breeding to make a standard, to make Valleys that it's like, we actually have, well, right now, currently, Jake is also the only dog we have, and the only one we know of. He comes from the only registered Nova Scotia female in the United States. Oh. And we got him in a trade. We had a girl, and another breeder who since passed away that we love. She was our other Oklahoma breeder. Her name was Linda Webb. And she took a girl puppy from us, and she actually didn't even have her puppies on the ground. And she's like, "Oh, I promise you could pick the litter." And it's like, it's great. It's fine. No problem. So she had these puppies, but she's the one that registered got Ava as her name. And she's the only Nova Scotia one, essentially. So Jake's mother is the only Nova Scotia registered female. She might be the only Nova Scotia female in the United States. Let's put it that way. But yeah, and then we end up just getting him in a trade and being friendly, and she ended up passing away not long after, and it broke everybody's heart. Like accidentally, even she had a normal surgery, and
oh wow.
So he was one of her last, and it really sucks. But
yeah.
especially when there's only 3 or 4 of you.
So there's only about 3 or 4 breeders in the United States?
No, there's more than that, but just people that we deal with that we think are doing important things as far as getting valleys. And we all have different ways of doing it, but what's nice is if you're smart and you understand how to balance things, you can use them all together. And that's part of like we're about to, well, when this male is a little older, we're going to make, they'll essentially be 92.5%.
Okay.
And it's mainly just to get a heavy boy. Mm-hmm. Because we're trying to start another bloodline is what it is. And, and we can't do it with anybody else's stuff. That's why I got an AKC, because I have the female. Uh-huh. We have a female. We did another trade. The other friend of ours is out in North Carolina. Her name is Christina Hare. And she does double back bred. That's how we got the 88% girl. Mm-hmm. But we're using her to make another bloodline because she's beautiful, and I can only get so far when everything's related to each other. And essentially, not only is my stuff related to each other, pretty much everything that the big people are selling is related to each other. Mm-hmm. So I had to step outside that box and go, all right, I have to make something new, because I can't just sell people 10 litters of puppies from the same pair of parents. That's not what it's about. Mm-hmm. We haven't had any dogs that have had more than 2 litters right now. Well, we have one that has had 3 spread over like 4 years, but
it's not what we're about.
Yeah, even though they can handle it, I mean, they just pop babies out. Mm-hmm. Our girls do. I mean, it would be easy to get caught up in that, but that's not what it's about. Like I said, it's more about getting people. Because let's be honest, people's interest is easy to misdirect when it comes to pets. You got to give them something they love and adore, and makes itself an important part of their family. Well, and a lot of the other breeders, people lately have been resulting that. Well, the people want this, mm-hmm. and I said, well, that's fine, but I'm not going to change my view of what a Valley Bulldog should be. Right. Now, that being said, especially when you're making it, you need those heavy ones. Mm-hmm. Something I was trying to press on earlier and I forgot is, if you just keep breeding like Haas, it dilutes. The heaviness just goes away, and that's what happened with the Nova Scotia ones, I believe. Because if you look it up, it says it's supposed to be a stout dog, mm-hmm. but that's absolutely not what people think of when they think of a Nova Scotia Valley. I mean, Nova Scotia Valleys usually have tails too, because they're not allowed to clip. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's more like a bull boxer is what theirs looks like, which is an American bulldog, right? The boxer, but you actually need those heavier dogs. That's why that's why I say it's all. Yeah, it'd be easy to complain that some of them are too heavy, but there's like me, there's people doing good things with heavy genetics too, and that's why we're trying the heavier one. I think it'll work good as a breeder. Like I said, it's not necessarily what I would want to be selling people as a perfect Valley, but mm-hmm. people don't always want the perfect Valley. That's the thing, is a lot of people just want a real healthy bulldog. Yeah. So you have people that want a Valley, and then you just have people that want to, they see the sum of the parts. Mm-hmm. This car has all the options I want. It's the price I want. It gets the mileage I want. It's got the cool rims, because people, especially in culture nowadays, people want something that their friends see and they go, ooh, what is that? Mm-hmm. That's something about a Valley, is no matter what you go, where you do, 90% of the time ours just get called English Bulldogs, because mm-hmm. people don't know better, and because the way they're filled out, it just makes you think that, God, that's a big old English Bulldog, because there's nothing else in your mind that triggers that thought when you see a Valley. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the closest thing I would say build wise is like a really good Rottweiler, mm-hmm. but they're not nearly as tall, and it's a Bulldog versus that, but just that big square, how they're square. Yeah. It's this, the big, that's how I think of it, as like a, just the proportion of things minus the height. I don't know if that was a good way of putting it or not, but
I get what you're saying for sure. Now, I'm from the West Coast too originally. How do your dogs handle the Midwest humid weather in the summer?
And they're the best you could get out of a bulldog. Like, 90% of ours love water. They'll chase the hose. They'll jump in the water. They can swim, play. The heat, if they got some shade, they could really handle it. Mm-hmm. As long as you want it. Not that that's what you want to do. You want to show some moderation, just because they have a lot of them have really thick skin still. It's hard to get all that heat through the thick skin. Small ears. That's why we go for the bigger ears and stuff. Bigger, just giving them, and the better breathing is a big part of that. Right. But because here in being in Oklahoma, it can go from straight ice, freezing, to 110 degrees in the summer. Yeah. So they handle it. They handle it amazingly well, and we really couldn't ask for. To us, it might not be the perfect dog, so to speak, but I'd have a hard time finding something better. Yeah.
Is there anybody trying to introduce a third breed to the dog, and that's obviously a disqualifying?
Yeah, we've thought about it, but I mean, it'd be hard to add something in that was going to keep the balance right. Right. Is the problem. Like, I've thought about like a bull mastiff or something, but that's just, then you got 100-pound, mm-hmm. and you're, to me, by then you've lost the health benefits. Yep. We've had. Now, this isn't all of them, but, I mean, you get sometimes 75-pound, 80-pound boys that are big and strong enough, yet still athletic enough to jump over a privacy fence. Right. Yeah. I'm talking like, hey, guess what? I'm going over this fence.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Not climbing. Like, I'm big enough and fast enough to sleep. Yeah. But it's just a rare thing, but it's definitely the athleticism, One thing we do, too, is laser pointers, man. Oh, my God. That's like crack. You got to watch it, man, because they will fixate so bad. I mean, we got a couple where the parents overdid it, and, like, even if they see a reflection off a watch or something, they're like, oh, my God, there's a laser. So for 20 minutes, you're like, hey, there's no laser. Chill out, But when it's a rainy day or, you just want to have some fun, it's fun to watch 10 bulldogs chase a laser pointer around their yard,
That's awesome. So do you guys do any special training or any dog sports?
Just to be good ambassadors. We really don't have the time. Yeah. We thought about doing a lot of it, but we're going to school full time, trying to be veterinarians. But we'll see how that goes. Being old, broken veterans, but we'll see. Yeah. I bet that's a long process. Yeah, don't mention it. We're trying not to think about it.
We're taking one semester.
It's the last 2 weeks of school of the semester, so.
Yeah. Is there anybody out there that is competing in dog sports or protection sports with the Valley?
I don't know yet. We had one that did that. Their mama showed them doing some wakeboarding the other day, but Yeah. Just mostly they're a companion animal. It's really something we have some. I mean, honestly, for me too, I would consider them. They're very good for therapy dogs. Right. If you just want something, with you all the time. They're not huge. They can jump up in the car by themselves. They're smart enough and they listen well enough. That's a big thing I like about Valley versus English. Is in English, it's like, hey, knucklehead. Yes, you. Yes, you. Come, and with the Valley, it's like, hey, don't make me say this again. And then they'll just go do what you said. There's that enough to make you be like, yeah, I love you, you're stubborn. But then when the play's done, it's, all right, I'm going to do what you say. And we actually try to, we have a friend, Ron Miller. I wouldn't say he runs it, but he runs like the board directors of a place called Therapeutics. Mm-hmm. And they do service dogs. They train service dogs, and we were just trying to donate, essentially one for a therapy dog, but we kind of mistimed it and didn't give enough heads up. But we're definitely going to do that in the future because that's important to us. It's not necessarily all about making money. Right. And I'll lead into this just because to me it's important. People ask, well, don't you feel bad about making money? It's like, well, nobody appreciates something that they don't have an investment in, whether it's financial or emotional or spiritual or whatever. Someone has to think about this hard enough to say, yes, I'm going to spend this much money and I'm going to take care of this guy. Not, oh, let's go get a free dog, you know. And then what happens when you don't like it? There's no investment. Then the dog ends up in the pound. You know, we have only had trouble with the ones we've given away.
Right.
You know, like I said, we know every customer. We know where their dogs are. We know what their dog's name is. You know, we know where they're located. We get as much information we possibly can about them because it's important to us. You know, we know what dogs are in our life, so we're invested in seeing that, you know, it become that thing in other people's life too, because that's what's important about a breed. Yeah, to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not just selling you something cool. It's easy to do that. Oh, yeah, man, look at that big, badass dog. All right, well, what are his inherent qualities? Mm-hmm. What's he going to be like in your house? You know, the stuff you're asking. People don't think about that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when they call us, that's what comes out. This is why. You know, we FaceTime everybody. Video or messenger video. Mm-hmm. You know, this is their parents. You know, we sold F3s, and not only are we selling F3s, we still own their great-grandmother. Wow. You know, that to us, that's the thing is, you know, there are dogs. Even though we have a high amount of dogs, it's not a kennel. Nope. There are pets. Everybody gets out. Everybody gets time. Everybody gets loved on, you know. Mm-hmm. But for us, honestly, the one people don't think about, too, is having a pack of dogs is actually good for their mental state, I think. Whether it's, you know, you take them to the park 3 times a week, dog park, and, you know, they see all their friends and get it that way or something, you know. Mm-hmm. But a lot of my work, once you get to the point where you actually have social structure, you have males, you have females, you have daughters, sons, you know, they take care of all that. You know, the parents show the young dogs, hey, you know, don't be a butthead. If they're biting and, you know, they'll go over and just, you know, knock them over or bump them with their nose. And, you know, and that to me is a great thing, to know what it's like to be a dog and not just a person's representation of a dog. Right. I'm not trying to get too deep here, but, you know, knowing your family, it's like a kid that comes from a social family where you got to do stuff and have fun and, you know, live a life versus a kid that just, you know, watch TV all the time.
Well, my
we have dads and moms, but we also have aunties and grandmothers and granny dogs in our packs. We have the entire hierarchy, and it really does teach them, you know, it teaches them manners and respect. So then when your dog looks at you, it's not just like, hey, you're the guy that feeds me. Yeah. It's, hey, you're the guy that feeds me, and my daddy looks up to you, and my mommy looks, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Really quickly becomes, all right, you know, you tell them to do something, and it's like, oh, you got it, you know. Don't get mad at me like I saw you get mad at daddy. That's all I'm asking, you know. Not that you have to. The boys are the easiest, honestly. That's the weirdest one about Bulldogs, too. Hi, Bulldog. Sorry, one of our big girls jumped at me. But us, it's just love. It's important to me, to us, but it's something I'm invested in, is giving people something better, but better for a reason, not just because I'm telling you it's better, you know. Here's why. Yeah. Here's why you'll like it. You know, here's what we offer you. You know, you get a health guarantee. You get a bulldog that's not going to snore, you know, that can go to ball games or go to the hardware store or just, you know, go to the medieval fair or a music festival and all that stuff and just, you know, get along, be able to interact with other dogs, not cause any problems, and have fun, but still get that, you know, American, I want to have a bully look. Because that's what a lot of people like that. You know, we like our big, heavy, overbuilt American things, you know, but that's okay. Because it's healthy. I mean, it truly is. I would put it up against any purebred dog.
because you're getting double the genes. I mean, with AKC, you're closed off. There's no new gene introduction. What you have is what you get, and that's why you run into problems. It's not that they're bad breedings. It's that you're getting these recessive genes that are popping up because somewhere down the road you're breeding, someone's grandbaby back to their dad because you don't know better. Or you're just looking up, well, who should I stud my dog as? Go to so-and-so. Well, that's fine, except for everybody's damn dogs are going to have the same dad. And then you're going to go, I want to breed my dog. And you're going to go find something. This. Well, then there you go. There's a lot more to think about than I would say most people want to invest in it.
Yeah. It's not about just cranking out puppies.
Use this for, and a lot of times they're not even Valley Bulldogs.
Right.
Like, a lot of people are just finding things that look like Valley Bulldogs and selling them. We see it all the time, especially on Facebook, social media. This is mine. Like, oh my God, that is not a Valley Bulldog. Like, but I think that's going to be. But people, and that's I think where we're lucky, is even the first crosses are cool dogs, and people like it and they appreciate it because they like boxers. And they do like the Bulldogs. And, unless you're sitting there comparing them side by side, you can actually see the differences. Most people don't recognize it or even care, It's only the people that are perfectionists like me.
Right.
And people always say, well, what's wrong with fawn puppies? It's like, there's nothing wrong with fawn puppies. But when you see it next to a brindle puppy, people just want the brindle puppy.
Right.
Like what they do with cars, People lure themselves to buy, what's flashy, what catches their eye. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's part of the game.
No,
we love it.
Absolutely. So, talk about this is a question I always ask, just because it interests me more.
Sure.
I don't care what other people think, but what does your housing or kennel setup look like? How do you house your dogs?
We keep them in the house. We think that having a kennel is not the way to go. And we tried to have them in a room all to their own, like a bedroom and we use the metal wire crates because we feel it's important for a dog to have his own home.
Yeah.
It's their den. It's their safe place. They eat in their rooms. We call it their room. Most of them go there and just go to sleep. You don't have to even ask. And it gives them their own personal space when you have a big group. But we have them in what used to be our dining room right next to our living room, and we can see everybody and see if there's a problem, and I can hear them from the bedroom, a couple times a night I get woken up. There's always somebody.
Yeah.
Luckily we're down to one puppy from that double litter. Because I will tell you, having 17 puppies when you're going to school full time is tough.
I bet. I can't imagine.
It looks crazy.
But we made it through, and we met a lot more great people.
Awesome people.
Yeah,
we have the world's best customers. Clients.
Yeah, we had puppies go from South Florida to Boston to Michigan to San Diego, Iowa, Ohio,
Oh, that's awesome.
South Carolina, North Carolina. Yeah, I mean that's what's important about us is we get a lot of people that put forethought and planning into what they want,
right, versus
what's quick and easy. We're not quick and easy to find. Unless you're already looking for a Valley Bulldog, you probably won't find us, unfortunately. But, once you're there, because it involves, transportation. Like I said, if you're just looking for a quick fix, you're not going to end up getting a dog from us.
No.
So we appreciate that, our customers think about it. And, sometimes we talk to them and, we can't make that work. Something changes. Just one of the last girls we had thought it wasn't going to be able to work. 2 days before we find someone that can deliver, give them a call up, figure stuff out, and boom, there you go. We had our friend drive all the way to Phoenix from Oklahoma City. So we're going to start flying a lot more with like a nanny service. I think there's some good nanny services. We don't really trust any of the ground shipping. We used to deliver for our first 3 years. We delivered every single puppy ourselves. it would be when we took a vacation. But the school made it too hard. Every weekend we were delivering puppies and trying to study, and then all during the week we were talking. Because, we love showing people everything.
Right.
All our customers have seen our big dogs. I mean, most of them, that's the thing, is they go, man, I've never seen, bought a puppy and actually seen his parents before.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we do that, and then we show grandparents and great-grandma even.
Yeah, we show the family, and so.
And part of getting a Titan, when you get a Titan puppy, you also get us.
Mm-hmm.
We have clients that have a puppy from our very first litter that will call us once a week to go, he got into something. What do I do?
Yeah.
But if you have a problem, you've got our number, and you've got our number for the rest of your dog's life or your life. If you're looking for another dog, we're more than happy to help pick out a puppy for you.
What on that note, what kind of questions do you ask a prospective buyer? What are some of the red flags, and what are some of the things that the green lights when you're talking to people?
Well, like I said, usually by the time they get to us, we have a good. I mean, you have plenty of window shoppers, but I mean, first off, we do a deposit. Did you already talk about? Yeah. Okay, so what we initially do is we don't pre-sell puppies.
Right.
We start the deposit. So when you're talking to somebody, usually by that point, what you do to get rid of the people that aren't thinking about it is that you tell them, and this is because it only works this way, is that it's a non-refundable deposit.
Mm-hmm.
You're reserving this puppy. This is when he has to be paid off, by this time. And that right there is most people go, well, what if I decided I don't want it? Well, that's not my fault.
Right.
You're the one saying you want this puppy. If you're going to change, and it's a reusable, every once in a while we get someone that pays half, and then they have something happen. And they have a medical situation or a family situation or just the life situation. Mm-hmm. And they say, I won't be able to take this puppy. Well, that money stays, in their account, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that the next time they want a puppy, they don't have to pay all over again. But that is a big one that gets rid of the BS, and then also getting someone on the phone, and, that's why we FaceTime. You show me your face, I'll show you mine, and we'll talk about dogs.
Right.
Instead of you just messaging me, because you could be messaging me, then looking stuff up on the internet, then messaging me, like you said.
Yeah.
But simply, we price them the way we price them because, it gives you people who have thought about their purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think the dog is the expensive part, that dog is not going to get taken care of, like my wife said. The dog is not the expensive part. The vet bills, the food, all that stuff is the expensive part. Or the couch you get destroyed, whatever. That's the expensive part, and that really dictates why the pricing. It's not the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's what is someone thinking when they get this puppy. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, like you said, you get somebody, but we don't let the BS fly. I'm not going to send, we have it happen, guys with plenty of money. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, I really don't like how you're looking at this. Well, I don't like how you're making stipulations. It's like, well, these are my dogs.
Right.
I don't care that you have the money or you've never spent so and so much amount of money on a dog before. You're here talking to me like, but I'm no nonsense when it comes to that, because I'm not going to send my puppies to anywhere, like you said, anywhere that I'm not getting a good vibe on. I don't need your money.
Mm-hmm.
Right, don't. The money is simply to ensure that that pet is getting a good life.
Yeah.
We give them a whole gift bag full of stuff. They get blankets that smell like us, toys, all that, because it's important for us. You're getting something. You're not going to Walmart and buying a dog.
Right.
You're going to the Valley Bulldog store.
Right.
What we do is Valley Bulldogs, and as much as we love everything, we know where our dogs are.
Mm-hmm.
I probably couldn't name it all to you and I could probably first name 85% of their owners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we know we're all.
If not, I've just confused it with somebody else's name because they're puppies that look just alike. There's a couple through the.
Right.
You got to remember who has who, but I mean, like I said, it's us. It's really important. So I'm not going to compromise those values that I told you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this, even though there's enough dogs on this planet. Yes, there's enough dogs. But people are going to continue to need dogs and want dogs and giving them something that fits their needs so that they're not buying multiple dogs and searching for a dog endlessly, you know, is important to me, and it's important to my wife, and it's important to us, and it's important to our customers, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And what I
One
like
of the
about
things
like
that we do look at for prospective clients, though, is their activity level.
uh-huh.
We don't want to sell you a valuable dog if you want to run a marathon.
Right. You know, you definitely got to ask the people what their enjoyable is. Because with the value, you're going to get some athletic ones. You're going to get some more, you know, I just want to chill out ones. And I mean, that's just part of getting to know your customers and you know, getting them what they need and not necessarily just what they think they need.
Right.
Because the funny thing about valid customers, no matter what they say in the beginning, not all of them, but a lot of them, they go, well, I want the smartest one, or I want the best one. You know, that's really how they start, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But of that, 95% of the people just go back to, well, I just want the heaviest one.
Right.
It's like, well, I can't tell which one's the heaviest one. Like, that's not how it works. They grow different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, we have at least 2 or 3 different types of puppies, you know, because little ones open their eyes quicker and they get on their feet quicker. It's like it's like the way that their ancestors handled it. It's almost like a more wild thing. But a lot of bulldogs, they have big, fat puppies, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like just huge, fat little toad puppies. Well, it also takes them like 4 or 5 days longer to open their eyes, and they're definitely not walking when those other ones are running around, you know.
Right.
They're the ones that are standing up and falling on their keister over and over again or tripping, and then the other ones are, you know, biting them and chewing on them. But it's all fun, you know. Trying to help somebody get what a lot of us have searched for, you know, like you're a dog person. It's hard to think you know what you want and then get something and then realize it's not quite what you want, you know. And not simply because you're being selfish, because you want to meet your dog's needs and you want him to meet yours, right?
Absolutely.
And I guess that's the goal. Is you know, you want a bulldog, I'm going to give you a bulldog, and not only is it a bulldog, you're going to be happy with it. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be going to the vet. You're not going to have aggression issues. You're not going to have breathing issues. You know, you're not going to be sitting here going, I love this dog, but you know, I love this dog. I want another one. I'm going to get another one. You know, I would say probably 3/4 of our customers are either waiting for the money to get another one or just waiting for the right puppy, you know. Just waiting for another one already because, I mean, and people that just got puppies that are, you know, 4 months old right now.
They're already like, what are you having a new litter?
That's awesome.
Or that my favorite is, well, you should have more litters. Like, I'm not having more litters.
Yeah, right.
I'm not. I'm not going to. Two to me is I mean, we're going to probably end up having 3 this year because we double bred on the first one because it was Jake's first time and it was also Lana's first time, and those were our F2s that made the first F3, obviously. But we also bred Lana's mother because she is our rock F1. Like she's everything but too much skin. Like she's huge. I don't know how we got her as an F1, but so that's how we end up having 2. Normally, I just try to stick to 1. You know, 1 twice a year. It's hard to line up the seasons right in Oklahoma. These last ones were winter babies because, like, you know how dogs will skip one cycle?
Yeah.
Well, I had it off, and they both skipped the fall cycle.
Wow.
So we ended up having winter babies. 2 litters of puppies in the winter in Oklahoma. And it was beautiful out all winter. Like, like, yes, this is going to be a great winter to have puppies, babe. I told you, yes. And then the puppies came, and it snowed and ice storm for the next 3 months. It was like, oh, my God, I shouldn't have said anything. Oh, my goodness. But so, yeah. But we try to keep it, reasonable and manageable and keep that mindset that I'm doing this to actually help the dog situation. Let's not act like we're still just happy with what's out there.
Right.
AKC's great, but there's problems, and they're not fixing it.
No, they're not.
There's no genetic solution. There's nobody going, you know what? We need to make these dogs better. Mm-hmm. Instead of better, it's become, well, let's make our dogs pretty. And pretty's all in the eye of the beholder. I mean, look at all these dogs, all these different breeds you have, They can all cross, so they're obviously all from the same, mm-hmm. ancestry. Mm-hmm. But you got a Chihuahua to a Neapolitan Mastiff,
Yeah.
But they're all having the same problems, You've got to find a way to keep things fresh. Mm-hmm. And
healthy.
And we just love them. Like I said, it's not just a, hey, here's a dog, thanks for your money, Well, we have our own Facebook page. We have our own Facebook group, just because it's important for them to be able to access us, and for us to see them, make sure everything's good, And some of the breeding thing is some breeders are better than others. I mean, I have one that is so loud, and that's a Valley, but she's that heavy one, the backbred one. She's louder than our English. So it's just so much about selective. Mm-hmm. When we get this new English, I talked to this dude for 3 hours on the phone. And we called about 9 o'clock at night. We talked to midnight, and then went to meet him. And I had to sit there and look at 3 different boys. Just giving. I mean, I've known for probably a year that someone was going to have to make a new bloodline. Right. And I tried before this to see if there was anybody else out there, and there just isn't. The only other big breeders are either not registering, have dogs that can't be registered, or they're related.
Right.
And I like what I have of my bloodlines. I think Jake is. And the thing about Jake is a sweet, kind, calm boy. I mean, he's probably got 15 pounds on our alpha male. Mm-hmm. But he's a baby, man. He's just a big baby. He comes up and he nose bumps you in the leg, and he kind of backs up and looks at you. This is like an 85-pound Valley. But he's not obese. He's just, he's a monster. I mean, and he was a little puppy too. I almost bought his brother because his brother was so big. That's what's funny about Valleys is people get caught up. Oh, well, I want to know which one's the biggest right now. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but still, like, I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. But
yeah.
Most people, but just as many go, I want the one that you tell me I should want.
Right, right. Yeah.
And those people are always happy. It's a little stressful trying to, keep people happy, but I would say that definitely one of the reasons I do it the way I do too is you reduce the amount of what I would call like a crop out, Mm-hmm. Essentially, if you do any of them, even like F1 to F1, you're going to get dogs that still don't look like a Valley. Mm-hmm. Like, they have so much bad stuff that you don't even really want to sell it, Early on, we did better because we used the female English, but this last one they were all within standards, and if anything, you had a couple that were just so much bigger that Mm-hmm. We had a boy this last time, and I had to give him to a friend because I didn't want him to breed him because he was so big, and like he was like a Hulk puppy.
Wow.
5 pounds bigger than his brothers and sisters when when they weigh 8 pounds. Wow. Kind of thing. It's cool. That's why I'm excited about the future because, and that's, that was like a 55%. That was an F2 to F1, so like I said, I like the back breed, so.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he, Jake throws some beautiful puppies. He really did. Wyatt did great too, but and the girls are getting better too. You know, I'm excited for my future. We got the new boy, and I've been raising up some big girls. Like,
so
there could be some thick valleys that are only like 60%. You know, I don't care for a crap load of skin either.
Yeah,
I don't like when they have so much skin that it's just bound up on their face and their eyelids are folding over. Like, that is one thing I try to stay away from.
Yeah,
and to me, that's good for the long-term health, the heat, all that. Absolutely. I try to give them lots of skin, but lots in the sense that it gives them lots of character.
Right.
You know, it's a detriment. I can't see. I can't breathe.
Yep.
Why did someone make me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
That dog's not going to lead a happy life. He's going to be pissed off.
No, yeah.
Because he's going to be sore and miserable all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a balance. Getting people's expectations of what a valley should be, and, you know, but in a way that it still meets all their health and and breed standards. But, yeah, people seem to be going with a healthier English right now. I mean, that's where a lot of people are going. I'm still going to keep it more valley-ish, but
yeah,
even I'm, you know, adding it when I can.
So what was the finer points of this new English Bulldog puppy that you got? What was the deciding factor?
He's super athletic. He comes from a guy here in Oklahoma called Better Bred Bulldogs.
I've heard.
And he kind of goes for what I'm going for the best he can. He doesn't have, you know, the multiple generations thing going, but he was really trying hard to select good genes, good breathing, you know, a longer back so he can move and jump and play. And he's not humongously ginormous, you know, because I don't see the point, you know. Get a Mastiff if you want something that big. Right. They're out there. Yeah. Or a Cane Corso, or, you know.
Yeah,
you're essentially building a freaking, you know, Dachshund Mastiff.
Yeah. Like I said,
as funny as it sounds, like on him, one of the things is, for me, is his head is too perfect.
Right.
Like, he has the perfect, you saw the pictures of him, obviously.
Yeah.
The head shape to the muzzle width to the muzzle depth. That dog is just, he has the head of a god. Like, right. That's what Jake's like. Wide between the eyes, but the head's wide enough to handle it. There's no wonky eyes. There's no nothing like that, you know. He's still got a good nose. He breathes, like I said, I have had probably 10 valleys that breathe louder than him. I haven't heard him snort or at all once. So, and demeanor-wise, he's really cool, man. Just like, even when I brought him home, he'll just follow you around. He's a little skittish. Like I said, I'm a really big guy. So, but, you know, and that's goes back to what I was saying about with the boys is I know my boys. My boys know me. You know, we have an understanding. I know who they are. And when I'm breeding them, I'm not playing a game of chance with your puppy.
Right.
You know, people tell me all the time, well, just get a stud. Like, you'll know. I'm like, no, I won't. I'll know what that person told me about him. But people are full of crap especially on studs. Oh, yeah, he, you know, shits a vanilla ice cream with sprinkles. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm calling BS. You know, I can see. I can tell.
Yeah.
And with him, it was just, I was patient. You know, I wanted something different, coat-wise. Tricolor is a really cool, really dynamic coat. And I don't think anybody, at least registered, is doing tricolors. There's a couple people that have made a couple blues and stuff, but, I mean, you're talking, and yeah. I mean, they sell that thing like it's a registered, you know, purebred. But so yeah, I mean, it was. If I was going to do something different, I was going to make it better. And this was a bulldog I felt to start a line with.
Right.
I noticed, especially like I said, that you have to backbreed to keep people's expectations of what a bulldog should be. Mm-hmm. And by backbreeding, I just mean or start with backbred. Mm-hmm. By the time I make an F3s, both of my parents are from a backbred to a traditional, mm-hmm. which puts them at about 62.5%. That's why I say it's 2/3. It's actually less. But I have that second F2 girl I kept. She is bigger. They are clones to that 88%. She's 25% less bulldog. She's just as big. She's just as heavy. Same height, mm-hmm. same humongous frames, but she doesn't have one breathing problem. Nothing, no sound, nothing. Just as big, just healthy, long nose. Whereas the other one sounds like, a train getting in an accident. Mm-hmm. You get her playing. She can play. She's healthy. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't really inhibit her to the point, but man, she sounds like she's dying. Right. Just gasping and snorting and, flinging drool everywhere. And it's great, but she's an amazing girl. The breathing I could fix. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun. The future is hopefully getting better. I'm trying to do my part, but it's gonna take some more people out there that are trying to do things the right way. Which
thank you guys for your time. I enjoyed the conversation and I love your dogs. So.
Oh, just let us know when you want one. We're glad to help.
All right, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.